If your game group loves characters like these, in situations like this, in a world which leads to a world inside our world, then you probably already know about Hollow Earth Expedition. You probably already know about the pulp-themed adventures, heroism, weird science, strange gadgets, adventuring beneath the surface of the world in the Hollow Earth. You may know about the perils of the surface world, and all the dangers and adventure which await. But have you heard? There are revelations from Mars. Hollow Earth Expedition has begun a new chapter, exploring a new world. A dying world of crumbling nations, forgotten technology, vanished cultures, red sand, populated by the dreams of Burroughs, Howard, Carter, Cummings, Brackett, Wells, and many more. But in whose guise would you explore this world? Maybe transplanted, transmitted, or stolen characters from Earth, or Martians with their own inscrutable plans, enlightened robots, very physical creatures, or intellectual creatures, warriors, adventurers, seekers of knowledge, or anything else you can imagine. 8 sapient species have been provided for humanoid, for something else, with guidelines for creating your own beings to populate the red sands and decaying nations of your vision of a red planet. This was Exile Game Studios' second Kickstarter, the first being for Perils of the Surface World. This one had 507 people back the project at more than $44,000 to bring this vision of Mars to life. But what is that vision? Well, I can tell you at more than 200 pages, it is a far more comprehensive vision than I was expecting. Although mainly an extension of Hollow Earth Expedition, taking the mysteries and wonder of that setting from the surface, through the Hollow Earth, and out into planetary romance. This is, of course, primarily based on furthering that campaign setting, Hollow Earth Expedition. But it's so much more than that. Regardless, I'll leave the details of developing your own planetary romance settings to you. Let's talk about what you get when you get Revelations of Mars. I think maybe the best way to start that conversation is to read the opening paragraph after the introductory fiction, Pawn of Prophecy. And it tells us in the introduction that Revelations of Mars is a sourcebook for the Hollow Earth Expedition role-playing game that expands the setting to include the dying and dangerous red planet. Explore a desolate world filled with strange aliens, bizarre creatures, and ancient artifacts buried beneath its shifting sands. Discover xenophobic nomads roaming the wastelands, sky pirates prowling the air in their great flying vessels, and power-hungry warlords fighting over dwindling resources. Take shelter within one of the great walled city-states, and rub shoulders with haughty nobles, devout priests, and greedy merchants who plot and scheme therein. Chapter 1 focuses on characters, providing you with all the tools you need to create characters who begin play on the Red Planet. Also provided are 8 sample characters, templates that you can use right out of the book to hurl yourself into play right away. Chapter 2 looks at supernatural powers. Now, some of these have already been established and are being expanded here. Others are for the setting itself. Rules for new psychic abilities and more advanced options for existing powers is Chapter 2. Chapter 3 brings us to equipment, including some mysterious uses for the element orichalcum, including its red metal weapons and armor. Chapter 4 brings us rules and gear for air and space combat, giving us the ships used by the sky pirates and the aerial navies of Mars. Chapter 5 takes us into a look at the cultures of the Martian natives, leaving you with enough holes to fill in the blanks with your own creations, your own unusual beings and creatures that fit your perfect vision of a Hollow Earth expedition style sword and planetary romance. Chapter 6, The Red Planet, looks at famous locations and the things that you might find there. Chapter 7 extends the Atlantean theme, which has followed its way through all of the books in the line, beginning with Hollow Earth Expedition. Chapter 8 gives us friends and enemies. You can quickly get adventures going in the Red Sands. Chapter 9, the bestiary, so you can make those adventures even more dangerous and bizarre. Finally, everything is capped off with a sample adventure and a 2-page list of inspirations in a variety of different media that will certainly get your blood pumping and make you want to travel to the Red Planet. I think, based on all the feedback that's coming in as the PDF spreads among the backers, people begin to review it, that excitement, which has had its ebb and flow over the years that this book has been in development, is reaching a fever pitch right now. People are excited, reading through it, browsing through it, looking at pieces of it. I sat down over the weekend. I got it on a Friday, and I read through the whole thing. And I'm not alone. There are other reviewers out there who've done the exact same thing. It embraces the nature of the thing. It's fun to read. It's full of, little bits of box text that say, if you want to do something different, or to do this, or this section's about, it just keeps everything moving. You never really are in doubt about what's going to happen. The rules extensions, such as for aerial combat, which is something that I think that people who got Space 1889 and who have never played Ubiquity before may have found wanting in that text. Although Ubiquity is easy to use and apply in a variety of situations, having this procedure laid out for how to very quickly and excitingly use the system to its best advantage to portray ship-to-ship combat high above the sands of Mars, well, that for some might be worth the price of admission right there. This is a fun book. It's an exciting book. The characters are bizarre, and guidance is provided, very clear guidance, as it was in previous books for creating Beastmen, for creating unusual Martian dwellers. And there's so many different character types, the warriors of the wasteland, or these curious multi-armed beings, or alien intelligence housed in robotic forms. I mean, there is a lot to explore here, either as the ongoing evolution of your pre-existing Hollow Earth, or Hex, as we say, game, or simply to start right there in the sands of the Red Planet. I'm pretty excited about this book. I've waited a long time for it. I'm happy to be a backer, and this is one of those things that makes Kickstarter really cool when you see everything finally come together at the end. Now, that's not to say that there weren't problems. This project it's late. It's quite late. There has been reasonable communication from Exile Game Studio throughout. We're not surprised that it's late. We're not surprised to see it. We're excited to see it and glad that this part of its journey is finally over. For those of you not involved in the ongoing development process of this game, I really look forward to seeing what kind of reports come back as people tear into it. I've seen a lot of interest spread through the YouTube RPG community for Ubiquity and Hollow Earth Expedition, and I think a product like this is just a thing to send it over the edge. Hollow Earth Expedition, Revelations of Mars. Very exciting, very adventurous product from Exile Game Studios.